Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome y'all to the show. Right now, I'm currently listening to news updates on the vaccination, and myself and Marcus Bud, we did a podcast on the vaccination. Now, I believe that you have the right to choose. Um, some of the questions that I like for the Justice Department. It says Justice Department, federal law doesn't prohibit COVID vaccine mandate. So, what people are saying is, okay, now you have people that are vaccinated and they're still catching the COVID. And they're saying that even if you have the vaccine, you should still wear a mask. So it seems like that the theory of some who says that the vaccination came too soon and there's more study that needs to be done in regards to the vaccine. Well, you make that theory seem true when you say if you are vaccinated, that's not 100% cure of COVID or the Delta. You still can catch COVID, you still can catch the Delta virus, but you won't die from it. Although you do have some famous people such as Rich Eisen with NFL who stated that he was vaccinated, but he had caught the COVID and had to wind up in the hospital and was very sick. Now, those of you who had pneumonia or who has been sick before COVID was even named COVID and who had to go into the hospital suffered, was uncomfortable. No one likes going to the hospital for 3 days, even if you come out 3 days. But when you sick enough and over-the-counter medicine doesn't work and you have to go into the hospital, that's an inconvenience no one wants. So the purpose of people getting the vaccine is because they feel as though they won't catch COVID and they don't have to inconvenience themselves and be uncomfortable by spending time in a hospital. Because in America, it's about comfort, right? The whole ideology, the whole mindset is having things in play and in position so if something ever arises, it will be handled and you won't have to suffer any discomfort. And if you have to suffer any discomfort, it'll be a brief. We're talking about hours. We're not talking about in days' time. So, I don't know. Then you go with the religious group. Because there's always been famine and pestilence and diseases, right? But religious people feel as though whatever is out there, there's a remedy in nature to cure what nature put forth into the atmosphere, right? If you say swine flu, right? And say swine flu came from an actual pig, right? Then there's something in nature that can cover it, like the ecosystem. Everything checks everything. If you say some type of sickness or disease that came from a chicken or something that came out of water in a sense, then there's something that you can put together in nature to cure that, right? But if it came from a man-made disease that came out of a laboratory, then it would take a man-made cure out of a laboratory to defeat that man-made disease that was made in a laboratory, right? Because it didn't come out of nature, right? Okay, so then, of course, there'll be controversy surrounding it because you want to know, well, how did it get out of the laboratory? And one, why are you all storing this stuff? Chemical biological warfare would be so brutal to unleash on the human population, right? We getting down to all the conspiracy theories, all into the controversies, all into he said, she said, and when you come out of it at the end, you'll realize you're back where you started from point zero, and no one really knows, right? And if no one really knows, then you can't come out and say, hey, I mandate everyone to do this and that, when you yourself is still in limbo trying to pinpoint exact facts on where it came from, how it started, and what's an actual cure, right? Okay, let's continue. The President Biden came out and said that there's credible evidence to the theory that COVID started in a laboratory. We would have to answer that. All right. Then at one point, it was said that you would have to establish herd immunity to create antibodies naturally to defeat the coronavirus. Well, prior to the coronavirus being named the coronavirus, there's a lot of people felt that they had the COVID cured naturally, cured themselves by way of their immune system, and feel as though they established antibodies, and so they don't need the vaccine. At one point, they were saying if you tested positive for COVID and they show that you develop antibodies, then you could travel. You wouldn't need any vaccination. You was okay, right? Ready, set, go. Now they're coming back saying, well, those who haven't gotten the vaccination is causing harm to those who have gotten the vaccination. And see, one thing about the American people, when you put so many misinformation out, especially coming from higher up officials, then what the people are, they'll just shut down and say, look, I'm gonna just wipe my hands with all of it, and whatever happens, happens. I'm gonna go and live my life, because obviously it seems like you guys can't get it together at the top. Right. Now, if this was such a great state of emergency, and I'm talking about the COVID and the offshoots of COVID from the Delta, and they said that there's another viruses out there, then America and the top officials should have swooped in and silenced Trump when he was in presidency, if he was putting out information that was false and that could be a threat to the American people. Right. Because now, since you didn't do that, it leaves a lot of questions on the table. Right. Is it systemic racism? Did you not shut Trump down because you didn't want to make him look bad since he was a white male? Had that been Obama, would you have lambasted him? Would you have thrown him under the bus? Would you have ridiculed him? Right. Now, you throwing him Obama on the bus down with the DACA stating that he had no authority and he overstepped his bounds and he shouldn't have done this and that, and you letting him have it, right? And you're going back on his what he put in play. But when it comes to Trump, who so many of you criticize, but you criticize in a way to make sure that you don't say he didn't have authority. He was out of bounds and his power. Right. You criticize Trump by saying he shouldn't have done this and he shouldn't have said this. Right. Not that he didn't have the power to do this and he didn't have the power to do that. Right. Which Trump, he didn't have the power, right, to go against the CDC or go against Dr. Fauci and say, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Right. When the American people is looking to that agency for answers and solutions. Right. Meaning there was no one to come check Trump and say, hey, look, man, you can't come out in the public and disagree with the organization that's put in play for the health of America. Because what you're going to do, you're going to cause disunity, and that'll cause people to get to die because people won't get the vaccine. They'll be confused on which way to go. Should I follow Trump? Should I follow Fauci? Right. Then you come out, as I stated earlier, the antibodies, stating that if you got the antibodies, you're good. So is that no longer true with the antibodies? Someone needs to answer that. They don't even talk about the antibodies anymore. Just like as Marcus Mudd stated, at one point they was calling the novel coronavirus. They don't even use that terminology anymore. Now, another one is the 5G towers. That the 5G towers complicates the immune system. And if the 5G towers complicates the immune system, and you saying that, well, we'll need a vaccine, the American people, and this vaccine will strengthen the immune system due to the 5G, which will help fight the corona or the COVID, then say that. Because people are saying, well, that Cuba situation where you had some top officials became nauseated, had headaches, and there was some type of radio wave interference that was causing the equilibrium to be off, and was the Cuban government purposely putting that wave out in order to cause harm to the American officials, right? That when we all know that Cuba has the top medical studies on the planet. Was Cuba saying, hey, let me give you an example of what these 5G is going to do? to you and your immune system? And if it's true that the 5G causes damage to your immune system, does that mean then that paves a way for viruses like the corona to swoop in? Now, we all know if prior to COVID, if you got an old Lysol bottle, you can read the back and it says protect against corona. Are you saying that was like the dove, the bird in the cage in the coal mine, which if the bird dies, you know that there's no oxygen in that cave where they're digging coal? You need to get up out of there. Is that like that, saying that okay, Lysol, you protect against corona? If you are not protected against corona, that means then that the 5G towers are so strong that it's allowing the corona to come in now, right? So if that's the case, then we're going to have to get a vaccine to fight not the corona, but really fight the 5G to help repair the immune system. Right? Remember, we going over all the conspiracy theories, what they're talking about, right? Now, some say, look, let go, let God. Right? Eat right, eat healthy, drink plenty of water, get plenty of vitamin D from that sunshine, from the sun, and you go from there. Right? Some say that. The officials say, no, they're comparing not getting the vaccine to a drunk driver who chose to drink, get out on the road, and kill people. And they're comparing those who haven't received the vaccine as being reckless. After all the false and information they put out prior to where we at now. And then all of a sudden come back around and say, okay, this is it. This is it. Everyone has to do this now. Now we got it. We got it. You know what I mean? First of all, you didn't come out and apologize for all the previous mistakes you made dealing with this corona. Now all of a sudden you got it. You got it locked in, right? But yet you have those who have gotten the vaccine and caught corona over again and had to be on a ventilator and was very uncomfortable and had to go through that whole ordeal of catching corona while being vaccinated and the fear that comes with, you know. So, I mean, it's a lot going on. Yeah, people, you all have some very, very important decisions to make. You know, are you going for the short-term goal or the long-term? That's the question. Verbal Radio, we're out.